Welcome to Beyond Six Figures, the podcast that helps business coaches to micro-niche, get noticed, and become fully booked. Learn from top industry leaders who've successfully taken their businesses and their lives beyond six figures. Get ready to level up your coaching business and make this world a better place, one business at a time. And now, here's your host, Ziv Raviv.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Six Figures. Our guest today is Rob Hinds, the founder and CEO of Raise Your Lead Consulting. With over 2 decades of experience in business development, leadership training, and process optimization, Rob brings John Maxwell certified coaching to service-based entrepreneurs across the US. He specializes in personalized coaching that strengthens leadership, communication systems, and team development to help businesses grow sustainably, often helping clients work less while achieving more. It's so great to connect with you, Rob. Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So it's great to connect with fellow workers and just geek out on the state of the world today in business coaching. And you've had your 20 years of experience. So I just bet we're going through some similar things, you and the listeners and me. And before we start and go into that, I just want to know, how did business coaching find you? What brought you here into business coaching land?
Well, it's interesting. We all have our paths. However, for me, it always came from the ability to help people. I've always worked in service-based industries, service-based jobs, whether it's sales, product development, business development. And what I find is that people need help with a lot of the how-tos of doing things. And it's also great to have some sort of accountability partner in your life, whether it's a mentor, a family member, an adult. And as I started through my journey of working, I noticed that being a consultant and a coach to people was something where I was able to add the most value. I was just doing it for other companies for years and years. And then in October of 2020, I decided to do this on my own and do it my own way, do it the way I could best serve people without any boundaries of working for a company. That's kind of the short of how it came about.
In the beginning of becoming a full-timer, if you will, as a business coach, it can be intimidating and frustrating, especially the first year or so as you start to work on acquiring your first few clients. What did you try to do and what worked for you in the beginning to get established as a business coach?
That's a great question. One of the things that worked mostly for me were the relationships that I built over the years and really kept a solid rapport with people, was very consistent in my previous work. So when I opened my own business, I was able to actually convert a number of those people right away because of how I served them in the past. Now, I know not everybody deals with that. Maybe they didn't have a past clientele or anything like that. So the way I gravitated new clientele was really 2 ways, by referrals and by outwardly networking. Those were the 2 things that helped me at the beginning. It was really my previous relationships and rapport with people that helped build me from the beginning.
I love it. You started with what some people call the power base, right? The people around you that already know, like, and trust you. And that was like an easy sell in a way because they knew what they're going with you. And then from there, through referrals and through networking. So I want to start with referrals specifically, because sometimes referrals, they take some time to actually be useful because a lot of times you want your client to first succeed to some degree, and then you can ask for the referral. How did it work for you in terms of asking for referrals? Did you have some system around it? Did you have a clever way of asking for it?
You're absolutely right. For referrals, it does take some time. That's also where the background came into play because I had already helped these people with some level of success through the other companies I worked for and the other things I was doing, they already saw the results. So it was a little bit easier for those people to reach out and say, hey, I think Rob would be a good fit for you. It's great to have a conversation. For those that I didn't, and I had to build that from the beginning, what I did was I just created small pieces of value for them to give them small wins. And that way they would feel more confident, even if it wasn't a straight referral, just mentioning me, whether it was through their social channels or conversations or groups that they were part of. The referral process does take a long time. However, when you get people small wins and get them excited right away, provide them with easy resources or things of value, they'll quickly speak about you. And then the more you help them, the more they'll speak about you.
And what about networking? What type of networking did you find useful as a business coach?
It was definitely an experiment because there's so many ways to do networking. The things that I found most successful were going through local community groups, whether it was chambers of commerce, business associations. Online, it would be things like industry Facebook groups. Those were the types of avenues to where I could slowly get in, introduce myself, build some rapport, and then go from there.
And did you have a specific industry or specific industries that you were focusing on?
At the beginning, because I had spent so many years in the beauty industry with salon, spas, med spas, anything, the beauty brands, that's where I started my journey because I had the most relationships in that industry. However, over the last few years, I've been able to operate in multiple industries, but the beauty industry was my real start. And I still have quite a bit of clientele there.
I know this all too well, where like you get, referrals naturally from the industries where you started at. But over the years, your clients start to refer to you people from other industries and you help them too. And then you slowly start to introduce yourself to a lot of other industries. What are some industries that you work with these days that are maybe dramatically different? Maybe they're dramatically the same as the beauty industry, but that they are like a different industry?
Yes. It's very interesting. The things that I work with people on are actually universal skills. So things like communication, leadership, emotional, social intelligence, time management. So with those things, they're applicable everywhere. The industries that surprised me were actually manufacturing companies. How much more in tune they're becoming. They're a little bit behind, but they're becoming more interested in what we used to call soft skills, which I call essential skills. And industries like that, manufacturing, a lot of people that have small to medium-sized businesses. So it could be a retail shop, it could be a painting studio, a photographer. So a lot of the more localized service-based businesses, those are some of the industries that I've expanded to and am doing really well with.
I want to ask you about getting certified. How key was it for you in your journey, and how often do you still go back to the tools that you've learned when you got certified as a John Maxwell certified coach?
Yeah, so the two parts of the question. The first part is I knew that at some point I would need something on paper. And I knew that certifications were a good thing. I also know that certifications don't necessarily mean you're good at your craft or good at what you do. However, it is something that when people see a certification, they see some form of competence around it. And when I was looking around for a long time, doing a lot of research, John Maxwell continued to come up. One of the most authoritative people on leadership. In fact, a lot of the leaders in the world go to John Maxwell when they want leadership advice. So I always believe in going directly to the sources of exactly what I'm looking to do. And the John Maxwell certification at the time, and now it's the John Maxwell leadership team, was a very good place to start. And the second part of your question were around the skills around it. So the skills that I learned through both speaking, coaching, and training, those three topics within the John Maxwell, I still use a lot of those resources today. I still use a lot of the skills that I've learned. Now, of course, you build other skills and you take on other resources. However, the John Maxwell leadership team has been very, very good with providing me things not only when I first got started, but things that are still relevant today.
So in hindsight, you would still go for it and do it, knowing what you know today.
Yes, absolutely. It's still massively valuable and relevant today.
So what are some of the successes of your clients that you're particularly proud of?
Really, I love when they gain small wins and build enough confidence to take another step or take another risk towards something. Those are always great. I will tell you, I've dealt with and deal with companies that maybe they were close to folding it up and closing. And all we needed to do was figure out a pivot for them or something else to where they could more follow something they're truly passionate and competent in and going in that direction. So taking somebody that was almost ready to give up and now they're absolutely flourishing because we were able to provide more clarity in what they really want to do and what they're really equipped to do.
When those clients ran into either a plateau or even they were on the verge of giving up, you worked with them, you asked the smart questions, and you helped them create clarity around them, which then allow them to either pivot or get back into the game.
Yes. Those are for the people that were struggling. Then the other great part is the people that already had a level of success and they were just plateaued. They couldn't figure out how to get to a next level. And a lot of that came down to things like limited thinking or black and white thinking. This is the way I've always done it, those types of things. So with those people, I help them more with their mindset around being open to perspective within growth.
Do you have like a red tape where you will tell people, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not a good fit for you. This is not my area of expertise, or you come up with a reason, but you basically refuse, you say no to that potential client?
Absolutely. And I believe that's a necessary part of it too. The whole idea of I can help everyone, I can serve everyone, not necessarily true. So my red tape is the people that just want to collect information, they don't want to take action on it. I know that they're just looking for some quick fix, and I'm not the quick fix person. I want people to learn sustainable things for now and the future for them. So my red tape would be people that aren't action oriented, that aren't willing to be open to perspective, and just want something quick in what they feel is easy to get them to that next step of where they want to go. Those are the people I don't work with.
So people that are either not coachable in some level, or they are very short-sighted. They're looking for like a very quick fix without really looking at business as a marathon.
Correct. And part of that also is some people just want to work with somebody to be validated. Yes, what I'm doing is good. What I'm doing is good enough. They're really not looking for personal or professional growth. They're more looking for affirmation. So those are people that I would either refer to somebody else or guide them toward resources that might be beneficial for them.
Speaking of resources, a lot of business coaches, they repeat certain messages, right? They notice over the years that they need, there's a training element to their service, there's an educational element to their service. And then they go about in setting up resources for their clients. What's your practice around that when your clients need some resources?
I love that. One of the things I love to do is I love to personalize resources that I build for people. So for example, if you and I were working on a specific skill set or a certain business model that you were looking for, I would then create a personal resource for them that would either have other resources within it or a great amount of information. So that's the personalization part. The other part too is, for example, on my website, I have my reading list, which is live and it's by category. So if somebody were looking for more information around leadership or communication or dealing with conflict, I have those resources online as well. And of course, I would send them to podcasts like yours or other podcasts that might be relevant to them. So both personalized and third-party resources, I'm constantly referring to people.
Do you ever use AI with your work, with your clients?
Very rarely. And I know this sounds surprising to a lot of people. My goal is to get people to think better for themselves. AI is such a wonderful tool and it's growing. It's very popular. It's very easy for people to say, hey, I want this to write my paper. I want this to write my email. However, my goal is actually more on the personalized end to where I want to get people to think for themselves first and then use tools like AI as more of a backup or a background. The only way I use AI at this point is for a little bit of quick research.
It's really powerful what you just said, because so many clients and business coaches rely on AI to such a degree that they don't remember how it feels like to think deeply, to ponder, to brainstorm, right? It's so accessible that you sometimes lose your voice and lose your journey, really, in a way. So I really respect your answer for that. So what do you do, though, to get new clients to contact you these days?
Well, it was interesting because when I focused on my training programs for a long time, when somebody would take my training programs or hire me to do a training program, that would lead to more coaching clients. And then I ran into a little bit of a switch to where now my coaching clients were referring me to others to take my training programs. Recently, there's been a shift to where I'm getting more speaking engagements now, some more short-term speaking engagements, maybe not a full-out training program, but just short speaking engagements. And that recently has created a massive influx for both my coaching and my training business. So local speaking events have been key recently.
How do you go about to securing these speaking engagement from the first place?
I've become very assertive in just being authentic and asking people for opportunity. That's how it started. I started going to different chambers of commerce and said, hey, I would love to do 30 minutes in one of your business groups on this topic, or here's a number of topics I could help with. And I really went old school, feet to the ground, and reached out to people and asked for opportunity. Once I got those opportunities, then the referrals started rolling in. So one led to the other.
Where do you see the future for you? Like, what's exciting?
Well, the growth is exciting. I'm really enjoying the speaking, not only to grow the coaching and training part of my business, but I noticed that when I do these even short keynote speeches or anything like that, how people leave those events. So the speaking part, if I'm looking at the near future, I'm going to expand that part of what I do in my business. I also love giving back. So doing this in these communities where maybe some of the business owners wouldn't be my clients. However, I could still add value to them. That's the part I'm really excited about and looking forward to. And I'm constantly learning. So there's always some new skills I want to implement myself and then help other people with.
I love it. And where can people go to learn more about you, Rob?
The best way to do it is through my website, which is coachingforsmallbusinesses.com. That's where you could find me. And then I have all of my social channels, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Those are the 3 social channels that I participate regularly on.
And we're going to put in the show notes of today's episode the links to those so people can connect with you and just follow you around and be inspired with some of your ideas and techniques. So I want to thank you, Rob, for sharing this time with us and sharing with us your journey. And I want to thank you guys for listening for another episode of Beyond Six Figures.
Thanks for listening to Beyond Six Figures. Check out the extended show notes that include bonus material, practical tips, and exclusive resources on our website, zivraviv.com. Until next time, keep dreaming big and pushing your business and your life beyond six figures.